Well, I will, while we're waiting for Tina to return, I will let everybody know what's going on. First of all, welcome to another sacred conversation from Centering the Sacred. We are always thrilled to have you join us. I think we're going to have a really good conversation tonight.
Definitely.
This probably goes without saying, but 2020 so far has been an interesting year, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
yes, and we are all trying to figure out how to navigate through so many ups and downs, trials, tribulations, disconnections from family, all sorts of things that we're all trying to figure out, right? One of those things that we're trying to figure out is how to remain healthy in the midst of this, spiritually healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy. We're trying to figure that out as well. We're also trying to figure out how do we practice long suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And we have found two individuals that I think will be extraordinary in helping us understand how to center the sacred during a pandemic. We've lost one.
It's okay. You know, I'm in the sharing mood. She can come sit beside me. How about that? I'm in the sharing mood. Come sit beside me. Come sit beside me.
Listen, that's what she wanted anyway.
I told y'all.
That's right.
I told y'all.
Yes.
She don't want to come now. I embarrassed her. I embarrassed her over the internet.
Yeah.
Oh goodness! As you all can see, we have Byron and Tina Payton, and they are some longtime friends of ours. They are just two phenomenal people.
Yes, definitely.
Who just so happen to be married. We miss you all too.
Yes.
One of the things that I will say is that COVID-19 has given us the ability to reconnect and connect in new ways with people that we have known and people that we are getting to know. So in a lot of ways, so we are physically distant, but I feel socially closer to so many people. There she comes.
And then you got to take them off that earbud.
We can hear you.
We're sharing.
Yes. Oh, okay.
There we go. Left and right here.
Thank you so much.
Can you hear us now?
We can hear you beautifully. So yes, there is the Tina to the Tina and Byron Payton.
Welcome to the show. We'd like to thank y'all for having us.
We are so happy that y'all let us impose on your time. We know that the two of you all stay busy. Not only are you in your careers, do you stay busy, but you're the parents of two babies, or two children, I should say, two children.
We got rid of one today, so we're
but we picked up another one.
Yeah, we did pick up another one. We're having a sleep. They're having a sleepover today.
Give and take.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
You exchanged the child.
Yeah.
Well, I want you all to just introduce yourselves to the people, to Centering the Sacred and to the community as a whole. Tell us who you are and how you chose the career that you all now enjoy.
Me first.
Oh, by all means, please.
I am Tina Payton. I am a registered nurse by profession, and I have been a nurse now for 14 years. My specialty is critical care. Now I have ventured into the side of management, and I chose, it's a very simple story, and everybody can be like, whoa, but I love what I do. Let me start there. But I always wanted to be a pediatrician. And so I went to NC State with the idea of going, I majored in pre-med zoology and wanted to go to med school initially, and then kind of slowed my track and said, this is going to take too long and I don't want to be in school that long. So I did a couple of other things, and then I said, this is not going to pay back college loans. So what can I do that I can enjoy and make a reasonable salary to pay back my student loans? And so I decided to venture research nursing. Originally, I thought it was kind of handmade kind of work. And I didn't want to do that. I felt like I had a little bit more in me to do that. But once I dug in and found out what nursing had become and all of the autonomy and places that I could go in nursing and things that I can do and the impact I can make, I decided that was a good fit. And it was the best choice I made. I wish lots of times that I had done it much earlier than I did.
Thank you for that, Tina.
Well, thank you. And that's our time, folks. Y'all, thank y'all for coming.
Whatever, Byron. Leave Tina alone.
No, I'm pretty sure my story is just this long. My name is Byron Payton. I am a senior firefighter with the Raleigh Fire Department. I've been working there for 12 years now. Actually, a little bit longer altogether. My career is probably about 18 years long. I did a little stint in Fairfax County, Virginia Fire Department. Basically, I kind of fell into it. I was working at Food Lion at the tender age of 20, and my father was like, my father, who was a captain at the Wilmington Fire Department, suggested that I, try and see if I could get on with the department within, the Triad area. And so I put in an application in Raleigh, and that's it. My story is super simple and sweet. Like I said, over 18 years of firefighting.
Wow.
It's very rewarding. It's allowed me to help a lot of people, meet a lot of different folks, and actually give back to the community at the same time, especially being an African American.
Yes. Well, thank you both so much. I will say that to both of you, that for your careers to be as long as you are old, that is amazing. I know you started your career as a zygote, so that's the testament. You all.
You're right. I did.
I mean, 14 years, 18 years, wow, you're just like 25. So
yeah.
We were genius.
Yes. Well, so I tell you what, COVID-19 has thrown a doozy, to put it nicely, in life as we have known it, right? And the fact that you all have a combined over 30 years of experience in helping people and your careers. Talk to us about how COVID-19 has shifted the scope of your professional careers. Like, before COVID-19, we did things like this. Now, because of COVID-19, we are operating in this capacity. How has COVID-19 changed the way that you all operate professionally?
So for me, it has been huge. I work at a nonprofit hospital, and we pride ourselves in servicing the indigent and giving equitable care to everyone, no matter how much money or how little money, how big your house or lack of house. And we have a plethora of community resources, and our commitment to our patients in taking care of them beyond their date of discharge is something we pride ourselves in. And I cannot remember, I've worked at the same hospital for those reasons I just named, because of the type of hospital it is and the community it serves. I've worked 3 different times in 3 different capacities, and I've never known us to lack anything. And when you talk about not having the equipment or personal protective equipment you need, we were blessed beyond measure, because the plan B we had to use was very minimal time, but just the anxiety among the staff about potentially not having what you need to do your job.
Yes.
It is huge in the African American community. We are very family oriented, and not having families at the bedside or being able to be with their loved ones have been huge. And having the community so afraid that they don't come to get care. Our hospital has started, we have a new slogan, forever here. I think it's something like that. Forever caring, forever here, or something like that. We changed our slogan so that the community would come back and get the care that they need, because for probably 2 months, our hallways were empty. Our emergency room was empty. We had very, very few patients, where areas like New York were struggling desperately and begging for help. We had employees without work because we did not have the patients there to take care of. And that is a testament to the fear that this pandemic instilled in the community at large, because as a comparison, since then, probably for the past month or two, we've gone on what we call red diversion, where we don't have enough beds to take anybody else, and we have overflowed and whatever. So we started to wonder, yes, people are not out, they're not at their jobs, so there are the incidentals that happen that are not coming here. But what about the heart attacks, the strokes, the people on dialysis, the people with diabetes whose blood sugars are not under control and things like that? Where are they? Because those life illnesses, as I call them community illnesses or what have you, don't stop. Those, what happened to those people during this time? Yeah. So I've never seen, people that have been nurses and healthcare workers longer than I have never seen in our lifetime a state where the community was so afraid that we were begging them, please consider your choices and get the help you need. We're still here, and we want to prevent kind of worse damage later on in life. So that was huge, a big change for us.
That's amazing. Just the having to invite people to come back and say your health is still important, even in a pandemic. We still want you to know that we're here to care for you. Right. Wow. Thank you for that, Tina. That's an interesting comparison, and we'll circle back to that. Byron, how have things been different for you in your career?
It's almost akin to what Tina was saying. You see a lot of, I guess, as far as my career goes, as far as the department itself, we've actually had to, instead of inviting people in to come visit us, we've actually had to tell people you can't come inside. We're having to, in the morning times, even with our own coworkers at this point, are having to stay 6 feet away when we come in the morning.
Wow.
We have to wear masks when we come in the door, and as soon as the shift is over, as soon as we come in, our coworkers are supposed to. I was on a roll there for a second.
I love
it. That portion is different, but as far as the aspect of running the calls, it's more. I like to say it's more business as usual for us.
Okay.
The only difference is that now we're having to wear masks when we go out. We aren't necessarily allowed to engage in the public if it is not a emergency situation. And it's not only just for the benefit of the public, but it's for the benefit of the workers, because I have a family, the people I work with have families. So it's important for us to be able to go home and not carry whatever's going on back to the house. And that's regardless of what it is. That's COVID, that's the flu, any type of communicable diseases that are out there. So for us, it's always been, go home safe is the key. And so, and as far as that, the department has started to make a lot of strides, because we were also taken aback by everything that happened, and we weren't as prepared as we probably should have been. But I will say the department has come a long way in the short amount of time to make sure that the workers are safe, and giving us the tools and that we need to be able to go out and help the public, and at the same time keep us safe.
Definitely. And so I want to talk about how you have had your roles during this, during the riots and the cries for social justice, the protesting. I know that a lot of fire departments were involved in the cleanup efforts. people, I'm sure, well, there may have been people who've got physically hurt that needed to be hospitalized. Did you all have any contact with that work as it pertains to the cries for social justice now? Like, did you have to do the cleanup or anything like that?
We actually had to go to calls that were within the area that the riots were happening, like in Raleigh. I was actually working that day. My station is actually in downtown Raleigh. So we were dispatched to fire alarms. We were dispatched to a building fire where we actually had to go in and put fire out amongst crowds of folks. I will say there were times where I was unsure of how safe we were at the time, but there was never a thought that, I felt like, okay, well, I'm really going to be in danger at this very moment. But it's there were other things also, but we were more so told to do our job and leave as quickly as possible. We at one time we were told to leave hose on the ground and get in the truck and just leave it there just for our safety.
Yes.
There were other times where we were called to lend tools to other departments to be able to take nooses off of statues and stuff like that. But as far as us physically having to go there and actually have to stop someone or do anything else like that, we weren't having to be involved in any of that type of stuff. We were more so there for putting out fires, helping people that were hurt, which is generally is just what we do anyway. So we had no role in the riot side or stopping the riots at all. That was not what we were there for. So
well, thank you for that. And I asked that question because I want people to understand that our participation or not participation looks different for everyone depending on where we are in our walks, in our journeys of life. So what I hear senior firefighter Byron saying is, while he did not go with his sign or he wasn't marching in the streets, he was still called out to the riots, to the protests, to help, which is a part of his responsibility, right? And so we participate in our own ways, however we are called, led, to fulfill the duties that we have to do, and do so responsibly, because I also heard that safety is key. Like, yes, you both have families that you want to return to. And so that is absolutely important. And so the service that you have provided to the community and to and for on behalf of your family, right? Because your safety being that of a priority is awesome and important. So thank you for that. And thank you, Tina, as well. I'm going to let Lorenzo take over because I feel his brain itching to ask some questions. I feel your itch brain.
Well, it worked out. So I just wanted to say that for those who are watching on Facebook Live, feel free to enter any question you may have in the comment box, and I will share those as time allows. That being said, we have a question from Facebook.
Oh, we do?
We do.
Already?
Oh.
Yes. Here it is. Thank you for taking the time to share regarding the expectation to shelter in place due to COVID-19. Have you noticed an uptick in the number of home emergencies? What tips do you have for families to remain safe in the home?
Are we talking COVID related emergencies, or are we just talking home safety in general? I guess that would be kind of
I would guess home safety because more people are home.
Okay.
Right.
One thing that I can't stress enough is extinguishers. Fire extinguishers at home, they aren't very expensive. You can go to Walmart and get one for about $17. You can get a ABC extinguisher, which basically covers your class A, B, and C fires, which are regular papers, oil fires, and electrical fires. Then they have a class K, which is specifically for cooking oils. So if you're frying on the stove, grease catches on fire, you take that extinguisher and it will extinguish the fire. Making sure that you have you exchange the batteries out of your smoke detectors, and checking to make sure that your smoke detectors aren't over 10 years old. Naturally, most people think just to change the batteries, but the detector itself will eventually actually has an expiration date on it, and that's 10 years. They do make detectors now that last a lot longer. The batteries you don't have to actually exchange once the detector is out of date. You just take it down, you put another one up, so you don't have to worry about batteries anymore. Those are basically the main two things, because if you're thinking of safety, I think of things that are going to alert you of fires, and something that if you can do safely, you can extinguish without causing harm to yourself or to others.
Yeah. So what about, let's think medically as well, because like you mentioned, there are a lot more people who were at home, than there used to be, and so maybe they're having to care for others. When they perhaps that person would have gone to adult care or child care. How does a person prepare themselves for medical emergencies in the home, considering the sort of the load that you all are under in the hospitals, right? Like, what should they be thinking in terms of their own healthcare in the home?
From a nursing perspective, I would just say the more you can prevent, the better. And when I think safety during this time, I think common things like whatever the governor has said, stick to that. If they say no more than 10 people in your home, there's scientific reasoning behind that. So keep less than 10 people in your home.
Yes.
25 people outside, there's scientific reasoning for that.
That's right.
Most people's yards can only safely hold 6 feet apart, a max of 25 people outside. And when you have pre-existing conditions, you also have to take that into consideration, that those the advice that they're giving is for the general public. That doesn't take into consideration any conditions that that you have that the general public doesn't have. And I know everyone is getting an edge to be social and things like that, but and we try to be social. We are very mindful of the children's mental and emotional health, but we don't socialize, have over, go to any home that we are not sure if they have been taking precautions. So if we don't know what they're doing and where they've been on a daily basis, then that's not going to be a family that we socialize with. And, we are not shy about saying that. And so I even had a couple of friends that I felt like went to a cookout too soon. And I told them they could not come over here for 14 days. Like I put what I needed to give them in the mailbox.
Yes.
Like, because, the safety of my family is a priority, and I can't vouch for the other people that were there. And so I'm sorry, I accidentally pressed something over here. I'm sorry. My hand hit the phone. I know.
I love it.
I talk with my hand.
You do it so well, too.
Thank
you do it so well.
Thank you.
I don't know how your hand got all the way over there.
I know. I was doing this.
Oh, my
God. But anyway, those are things medically. And there is telehealth visits for people that don't feel safe going out. You can still call 911 and they can advise you over the phone as to whether you should come in. But we are a little bit further past, being paralyzed by fear to go to the hospital, and still make your doctor's appointments and your doctor's visits and things like that. Those are still necessary. Make sure you have the supplies you need. If you don't, call your doctor and let them know. There are resources on the websites of most of the local news stations, and things like that. So you have to be mindful of your personal accommodations and then the general accommodations also. And I think for me, the biggest part is preparation, as far as thinking ahead and following the rules and knowing that there's scientific rationale behind those rules, and they're built to keep you safe and not to keep you secluded. And so I think if we keep those things in mind and be cautious as we move forward, then that puts an extra layer of safety there, in addition to wash your hands. People.
I was going to say that, wash your hands.
Just wash your hands.
Really, that's like, I feel like that's like 90%
20 seconds,
of it.
20 seconds warm water and 20 seconds of friction back under your nails and between your fingers, all that. That is huge. Like, it really goes a long way in keeping your hands away from your face. And so I think that if I had one piece of advice or two, it would be the contacts and washing your hands.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to just jump into wellness, since y'all did such a good job answering those questions. When I think of wellness, I tend to think about actively pursuing health. So it's not just like something you do one time and say, check, I am wellness, right? I think about actively pursuing the goal of wellness. And so when you think about wellness and then long suffering, because we are in the midst of becoming, if we haven't already, are becoming a long suffering people. And I did a little bit of homework because Lorenzo told me I had to define long suffering. Showing patience in spite of trouble, especially patience caused by other people. That is how we are defining long suffering. So patience in spite of trouble that is caused by other people. Wow. Okay. So when I think about the two together, wellness and long suffering, thinking about actively pursuing the goal of being well, and then long suffering, in the midst of pandemic-y times, in the midst of the cries for social justice. Talk to me about your outlook on wellness and long suffering. And I want you to think about how you all now relate to one another. So in your relationship and with your family, and then how you pursue wellness on an individual level as well.
I think I feel like during this time I've leaned more on her for mental wellness, just for the simple fact that because I can't go out and do the things that I want to do, you know, I've learned to be more attuned to conversations that we have with each other. You know, talk about things that we don't normally talk about. You know, having projects together, things that we can do together. That I feel like keeps me sane most of the time, because when I go to work, it's always, you know, I'm thinking of other people, and it gets, you know, strenuous after a while. And it's nice to come home and have somebody that's thinking of me, ask me how I'm doing, you know, did I work out today? You know, did I work out today? What did I have for dinner? You know, things like that, questions that, you know, concern me and my well-being. So I think that's been the biggest thing as far as you know, something that's kept me going, made me at least mentally well. Now, physically, it's been a little tougher, as you know. I enjoy going outdoors, playing basketball, things like that. A lot of things that involve a lot of social, you know, contact. So that's been probably the hardest part for me, not being able to do a lot of the things that I enjoy, but being able to spend time with my kids, because I learned that tennis is actually one of the sports where you don't necessarily have to be so close. So I take my kids and we go play tennis in the morning. So it's something that's fun for the whole entire family, and it gets me out. Yeah. So.
I think we have concentrated a lot, or I have been intentional about us as a family concentrating on our mind, because that is the start of any wellness journey.
Yes.
And I think, not to be super deep, if the enemy had a part in this, the part he would play was coming after our mind, because you're secluded from people. You're secluded from your outlets. For a while, people were secluded from their therapists. People were secluded from their jobs, which for some people are meaningful. people who are single and live alone are alone. And if you have an issue with depression, anxiety, and loneliness, that is a big battleground. And for us, so for others, I would say pay attention to your mind. And for our family, I've been intentional about asking questions that I've not asked. I've asked our children if they thought we were good parents.
Yes.
And how can we be better parents, because they've gone from being away from us 7 hours a day to being with us almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no friends to get away from us like we want to get away from them.
Yes.
I am not an at-home mom. We've established that day one. Thank you, Lord. But we are committed to our children's education and their well-being, so we do what we have to do, and we are their first educators. So we've had to step it up and try to work on our minds so we can be patient with them. Also, this season, which is new, I don't know if it's age or just the culmination of so many major things. This has been rough for me, and I can usually sweep stuff away and brush my shoulder off and keep moving and plowing ahead. But with COVID-19 at my job, there has not been a day since it started, and we have not talked about it. It has not been mentioned that we have not discussed PPE. As a leader now, my primary responsibility, I have my staff are my children. Like, I guard them like I would guard my children. And so I make sure they have what they need at all costs. And so, you know, doing that at work, taking care of people who take care of people, 5 days a week, and then coming home to be a teacher and taking care of more people. Then with the social injustice, and we are people of color, that impact us. We had some challenges with that in our children's school these past 2 years, because they are the minority at their schools, and we had some issues there. So this brought back some of those feelings to light. And then anyone who has seen the racial injustices, if you have a heart at all, there have been so many kind of back to back that have been publicized. Not that they weren't happening before, but now we have video to go along with it. It was just a lot. And trying to work through those feelings, and then seeing how people you thought you knew felt, people of color and people not of color, and reevaluating those relationships, and saying, is this one that should go, or is this one that I should try to work some things out and educate, or, you know, come to some agreement or understanding. It is just, it was overwhelming at one point to be, and then even among those feelings, we take care of, and I pride myself in taking care of people no matter what they think about me, no matter what they would say to me, or no matter how you feel about me. You will never be able to say that Tina cared for me any differently because of what I said, what I did, and that's the same for my husband. And, you know, probably working alongside of some of those people with those feelings, that I cannot care or do or feel any less love for them. And I can't back off my caring. I can't back off the length and the depth that I would go for them because they feel a certain way. It was much. And so we talked a lot about that. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? This is where I am. Like, I got to talk this out because I can't afford for this to come out somewhere else, because we've not worked at home. We've been going to work every day, you know, because of our professions. So it has taken much prayer. And sometimes prayer didn't do it. So for the super deep people, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Sometimes prayer was not enough.
It was, yes.
I had to pray, talk, read, walk, shake it off, you know.
Run it out.
Yeah, all of that. So it has been very challenging also to, speaking of long suffering, to have patience with, for us, in the case of the school that caused injustice, for our children and our
Yes.
family,
Yes.
it has been a battle to be denied moves and things to get away from it, and to continue that fight along with the COVID fight, along with the education fight at home, and do the job of people who wronged my children in a system that we pay taxes into.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's why I did a few very bold Facebook posts. I usually stay away from anything political just because I like to have fun and laugh and keep it light.
Yeah.
But I had to say, because I don't think some people realize the position it puts you in when you're always on the receiving end, and you've been on the receiving end for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have said to people, while I don't condone riots, I am at a place where I can understand. Because if this school wrongs my children one more time,
yeah,
I might be the rioter. I mean, because nobody knows that story, because I haven't, we haven't shared that story.
Right.
So while there are a lot of things that I don't support, the violence and whatnot, I understand it now, and I would not have understood it 2 years ago before whatever happened with my children happened to my children. Mm-hmm. And I understand it. I think, those people need to be able to talk out and need mental wellness as well, and to not talk about it, to not protest about it, to not be able to have any voice toward the people who have caused such pain to you and your family, then I think it's anti-mental wellness.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't support that at all. I think everyone should have a voice, and everyone has a story, and they deserve to be able to tell that story for their mental wellness. And once we are well in our minds, then our bodies can follow, because I see it every day. I have worked with people. I've had employees that are constantly in the hospital or at the doctor's office because you are not mentally well. And when you bottle that up and it has nowhere else to go, it will manifest as a pain, as a headache, as a back, as a foot. And no doctor will ever be able to find it, because the source of it is your mind. And so that's why therapy in our community is so important, because it is a very important, imperative first step to the rest of your life and the rest of your body. Mm-hmm. What starts at the head flows down. And when you think of your mind, everything that impacts your mind will flow down to the rest of your body.
Yeah. So I want to stay there just a little bit longer. And I really hear what you're saying. And so I'm imagining the person who says, wow, that's me, right? Like, I can sort of sense where I haven't been caring for myself during this time. I've been, just kind of knee deep, neck deep, in all of the media, just trying to stay up on what's the next symptom of COVID, trying to get myself through the racial injustices and things like that. What would you say to the person who is feeling overwhelmed, who feels like their mind is just almost at a breaking point? How do they begin to recenter themselves and begin to heal?
Well, first I would say you have to write down what your end goal is. You have to figure out what that is for you and what health and wellness in that area is going to look like for you. Mm-hmm. Then I would say the hardest part is to write it, facing what is impacting you and causing you so much distress. Yeah. And I know people wouldn't want to do it, but I did. You have to stop watching the news. You have to stop taking on more until you deal with what's on your plate.
Yes.
Don't keep piling your plate when you've not made a decision about what's on there. You've not eaten what's on your plate, and you're piling more on there. Just like physically, that leads to obesity. Excess weight, then mentally it's going to be excess weight, because you have stuff that you haven't dealt with. Don't take on the problems of another until you dealt with the problems of your own.
Wow.
So, all of this does not have to be your fight. Everything does not have to be your fight. I do not listen to COVID. I do not consider myself a COVID expert. I read the emails that come to my work based on what I need to do for my job and what I need to do for my staff. And I don't bother with it anymore. I've not listened to anything that the president has said about it. I listen to the governor as it pertains to my state when he makes, they announce that he's going to do it. I've listened to or read in the emails that pertain to my children's school. Mm-hmm. Everything else I don't have any room on my plate for the other stuff. I have to deal with only what concerns me. And that's what I would say would be the first step first few steps is decide what your end goal looks like, what that's going to be, and then rid your plate of everything that does not pertain to you and deal with what's on your plate. And that can be therapy. It can be conversations that you need to have about what's on that plate. It could be, talking to a spouse or a friend. It could be praying about it, meditating, doing some more research on the hows and whys, and making your peace or either resolving, because everything can't be resolved. Right. Sometimes you just got to make your peace with it and say, it happened. It is what it is. And I need to figure out how I can move on and be well.
So, Byron,
how do you follow that? Yeah. I don't really know how you follow that.
Okay.
Ditto.
Yes.
Ditto.
I do have a question for you, Byron.
Go for it. Go for it. All right.
So I love that you talked about playing tennis with your kids, right?
Yes.
And so my question for you is, how do you begin to help your children practice mental wellness at such a young age, right? So it was mentioned that, they were accustomed to being away at school for a good part of the day with friends. But the reverse of that is true as well, right? You were used to having them at school. And so, how are you and your children finding sort of joint peace with what's happening in the world? How are you helping them, and sort of how are you making sense of it as well?
I think we try to keep it as normal as we possibly could, considering what's going on. Kids are smart, not just ours, just all kids. They know exactly what's going on in the world. It's not that I have to do a lot of explaining to them. We talk to our kids and we say, hey, look, we can't take you to the store with us because, we don't want to risk you getting, infected with COVID. So how about if we just go outside? We can walk around the neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with going outside, finding other alternatives to doing what would normally bring us joy. But it's to the point now we got to be more creative, So it's not just about the outside world. It's like, what can we do inside the home that would make you feel better about what's going on? So we buy board games, we played Monopoly the other night. Sore subject for some folks, but I didn't realize Monopoly was that kind of game.
Listen.
Our daughter.
So we sit down and we ask them how they're doing. Because even though right now they're in camp, they go to a camp every day. So now they're back into getting some of that social aspect back. It's still a little different because most summer camps, they go swimming, they have certain activities that they do. Now the majority of those activities are not being provided anymore. Mostly the one thing that they enjoy the most was swimming. They can't necessarily go swimming anymore because of having to be able to use transportation to get the kids to the swimming pool. So So it's finding other ways to keep them entertained. Once again, we always ask, how was your day? Making sure that they understand that we're there. If they have a problem, they can come to us and we can talk about it. So I think that's the main thing. It's that.
Our children have opinions.
No, not the Payton pair too.
Well, you know who the mother is, so
hello.
They have opinions. Huh?
Yeah.
And we let them share them. They have opinions about Black Lives Matter. They have opinions. They know what racism is. They talk about it. They know coronavirus, and they say what they think. We've asked our son because he's going to middle school. We're supposed to go to middle school, what he wants to do of the 3 plans that they have. What does he think? And for as much as he knows about safety, we want to make sure he has some sense of normalcy and give him a part of the decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just gotta trust God with the rest. But we've let them see some for as much as we thought that their little minds could handle.
Mm-hmm.
And we've allowed them to talk about it and tell us. And believe it or not, they understand better than a lot of adults. And some of the things that they say about we should love one another, and those things. Why would people do that to someone? Very appropriate questions. And so we get to tell them why we have them do certain things, or why we don't let them do certain things, because these are things that could happen, and we're trying to protect you. It doesn't always work. That the protection works, but this is we're putting our best foot forward for you to avoid these types of things in your life. So that's huge too, that they do know about the overarching major issues, and we let them share what their opinions are and try to guide them in the right direction.
Because I mean, the situation is new, but we're not new at life. We've been there, so they can still come to us and talk to us about anything that's concerning them. That's the main thing.
That's good.
Hopefully that answered your question. If not, Tina can go on for another 30 minutes.
Tina is an educator. Tina said the people gonna learn today.
I'm just eye candy at this point in time. I'm just here.
Well, we appreciate both of you.
I do what I can.
We're gonna start wrapping it up a little bit. Buddy, do we have any more questions coming in? I want you to check that while I circle back to a point that you made earlier, Tina, when you were talking about some of the education inequity that your children were experiencing at their school, and how you had to take a stand for them. And that was something that you chose to, do and keep kind of in between you and your husband and the school. I think a lot of times people don't realize the day-to-day, like when you live it every day, you breathe it every day, and then it's like, oh boy, here is another thing that I have to respond to. And then discern, why is this happening to my child? So there's some discernment going on in there, and your wheels are turning, right? So during that time, did your children realize that they were experiencing inequity, or is it something that you realized and kind of went to bat for them on their behalf? Or did they come and tell you, Mom, this is what happened at school today? And you were like, okay.
They definitely did that.
Okay.
Yes, they definitely did that.
The oldest one in particular is very much aware.
Okay.
I don't know how he's aware, but until we got to the particular school, friends were friends, and color was not discussed. We didn't. They were just friends, and he started to pick it up that he was treated differently. He realized that he was one of very few brown boys, as he called them, in his class or in his school. He realized that he was not invited to play in groups, but they could not give him a reason. There was one particular teacher, he said, I just can't do anything right for her. Like, no matter what I do, I can't do anything right. And he said to us, or to me, one evening coming home, that he was afraid that they were trying to paint him to be a bad kid, and his dad and I were not going to come to his defense anymore. And that was it. So nobody should ever ask me about how I feel about a riot or a school, we went to the school and we boldly let them know that our children's mental state and their spirit was off limits, and their position needed to be education and to not cross the line or else. And I have held to that. And I have made sure they know it. And we stayed out of the school. There were times my husband, more so than myself, sat with him through his class. It was that bad.
Oh no! Wow.
Several days a week for a month.
Wow.
Because it is a very well-to-do school, or the community is very well-to-do. And I think the assumption when we went was that we were being bussed in because we needed something. And that was not the case at all. We requested to move from our previous school, and we carpooled every day, and he and I are professionals, but none of that should matter.
That's right.
Either way, whether you're bussed or whether you're not.
Right.
And so that just goes to show you, and if as an adult, I was tired, of trying to educate people that should know better. Our son was called a thief, and he didn't steal anything. I had to tell them what the definition of thievery was, and that you cannot use that with our children and the power of words. This is educator that should know better. And so we had to educate them. A principal who would not admit that lying on a child was wrong, like evidence via email, leave my job to come out there and you tell me my child is somewhere that he's not supposed to be, and never return to class after walking out. And the other teacher says, no, that didn't happen. And the principal does not apologize or correct it. Just kind of, I believe that the principal knew it was wrong and other people knew, but nobody would do anything about it. And so we had to do it ourselves, and it is exhausting. And so, but we can't give it up, because his whole life is at stake.
Yes.
What he becomes, who he is, his academics, and he needed to see that there is nothing that anybody could ever say or do that would keep us from going to bat for you. And if they come against your parents, they will lose when it comes to our children.
Yes. 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 Thank you. We'll catch flights.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Do you want another Facebook question?
Yes, we have it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
All right. So what are your thoughts on supporting kids and families who may not have as many options, i.e. summer camps, safe neighborhood to play in, etc., or who have become essential workers due to the pandemic?
I think a good start is community. I think it starts there. I think you find like-minded people that share the same experiences and some of the same situations, and you come together. I mean, ultimately, I think that's what we should be doing anyway. There's probably 300 million people in the United States, but we act like 300 million individuals as opposed to one group of people. So, hey, thank you. So as opposed to, I like I said, getting back to it, I think that's what it comes down to. Find somebody like-minded. Tina and I were talking earlier, as far as homeschooling. And one of the things we thought of, well, who else out there is in the same position as us? Who can we lean on to say, hey, what do you think about bringing your kids every week? I'll take your kids one day, or you take my kids this other day. Come together, make a plan, something that works for everyone, so that everyone has equal equity, and also get something out of it, without having to compromise, work schedules or, family time. So I think that's what it comes down to.
I agree.
I appreciate that response. Lean into your community for sure.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to go at this alone, because nobody is in this pandemic by themselves. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for that, senior firefighter. Talking right.
Every now and then when Tina lets me talk, I say something.
Yes.
Wow. Any other questions, Bud?
That's it from Facebook, unless somebody is typing.
They're not typing. Okay. Well, feel free to ask questions after we go offline. If you find yourselves with I should have asked that question. Go ahead and send it anyway under the link of this video. as we begin to close, I want you all to, Tina and Byron, any closing remarks about wellness, long-suffering parenting, any advice that, we didn't ask the question about it, but you're like, I want to be able to say this. Go for it.
Wear your mask. Wash your hands.
Wear your mask. Wash your hands.
We cannot do this alone. Once again, we cannot go through this whole pandemic as individuals. We have to act as all as one. I understand some people feel some kind of way about having to wear a mask outdoors, but it's not just for you. It's not just about you. It's about everybody else. Sometimes you got to let your pride go. You gotta give more of yourself than what you expect to receive from others. So I think we have to start there. I think stay united, become united.
Yeah.
I think I would say seek to understand and not always to be understood. I think a lot of what I've heard, even with the school opening and school not opening, wear the mask, don't wear the mask, should we riot, should we not, all of that. I think a lot of people talk without understanding the why of the other person. And no one's gonna get it perfect because, you're fine, because none of us have ever been here before.
Right.
So I don't think for most people, insult is not the intention. It's just not. It's in the absence of an optimal answer, then you choose the lesser of the evils for your life. And so don't be offended by someone choosing that lesser evil for their life. So that would make a blue collar worker say, I need my children to go back to school. Well, the bigger evil in their life is if the children don't go back to school, they can't homeschool, they don't have family, and they're going to lose their job.
Right.
So yeah, don't be mad because, they're putting the teachers at risk, and no, they're trying to provide for their family.
Yes.
I think, somebody say, I'm not going to wear my mask. I'm not wearing a mask. It's my personal right. Well, there's someone who you might come in contact that may not survive if they get that from you while you're surviving.
It could be a family member. I'm not to interject. It could be your own family member that you're infecting with this.
Yeah. So the greater evil that you could face is death of a family member as opposed to wearing a mask. I mean, so everyone has a personal perspective. Try to understand what other people's perspectives are and be flexible because nobody has the perfect answer because no one's ever been here before.
I love it. And how can people reach out to you? They want to know more about wellness, or they want to be, if they are ready to embark on a wellness journey. How can people get in contact with you?
So they can email me. I did not mention, it was kind of intentional. Sorry, my daughter and friend are chattering over here now. They don't be patient with us. So they can reach me at tina@awealthyplace.org, and that's WELLTHY. And I do have a business, A Wealthy Place, and of course that's WELLTHY. And before the pandemic, I did wellness education and consulting. But between the pandemic and grad school, I've kind of put that on hold because of the time requirements and the inability to social distance. But that email is still active. I am still willing to help in any way that I can because, as we said, nobody's ever been here before. And if you have questions for this guy over here,
just email her.
Just email me at that email address.
And if I could interject one thing, for all those that live in Raleigh, I was sent an email. They are having a mask giveaway. So if you do not have a mask, for all those, tell someone, anybody that you know. It'll be at Raleigh Fire Station 7 and Raleigh Fire Station 10. Raleigh Fire Station 7 is 2100 Glasscock Street. And Raleigh Station 10 is 2711 Sanderford Road. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look on these emails real quick.
Yes.
Those dates are going to be Tuesday, July 14th and Thursday, July 16th. The times will be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. for both days. So just know Tuesday, July 14th, Thursday, July 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then again from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Come by, get a mask. If you don't have one, get an extra mask so you can have one in your car, keep one in your purses, back pocket, whatever. Come get one so we can stop the spread.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank you for that.
bring it down to zero. So yes, no, thank y'all for having us. We appreciate it.
Bring it on down to zero. Bring it down to zero. Thank you all so much. This has been very enlightening. I appreciate your openness, your willingness to share out of your personal experiences and to shed some light in some dim places for some of the people in our community. If you want to contact Tina, please feel free to reach out to her at tina@awealthyplace.org. We will put that contact information. We will link that up in our Facebook page as well, because we want you all to, if you haven't started your journey to wellness, go ahead and get started. Now is a good time. Or if you're on it and you've gotten stuck, get unstuck at A Wealthy Place. You can do that, and she will definitely be able to support you in your wellness endeavors.
And the website is the same. I do have a website.
Yes.
It's awealthyplace.org.
awealthyplace.org. You should visit the website. Go see everything that she can offer, her services offered for you. Buddy?
Yes.
Go for it.
Is he gonna sing us a song? Is there an outro?
Close us out. Selection A.
Well, you won't be getting a song from me, that's for sure.
Oh man, that's what I came here for.
A sermon.
Oh, okay.
You get
A sermon?
You can get a sermon on any given day.
Maybe a brief homily.
Okay. Yes, we'll take that.
Just special topics. Yeah. No, but I just want to say thank you all. First of all, for being, those individuals that we often hear about on the front lines, dealing with this each and every day, keeping people healthy and safe. So we are abundantly appreciative of what you do every day. So,
thank you.
Yeah. And that's it. And to all those who are participating on Facebook Live, and for those who will see this later on the website or through the podcast, remember that we love you and that we are grateful that you have decided to join this community. And until the next time we talk, keep centering the sacred.
Bye, y'all. Bye. Much love.